claims are preposterous. They present an out-and-out political farce. First of all, asking China to make reparations or these kind of claims, they have no legal basis.
So this was a very significant interview from NBC, a top Chinese official criticizing President Trump for saying that the communist government should pay reparations for the pandemic. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has also said Beijing will pay the price. Want to bring in from the State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus, and welcome to our program here. He said a lot. This is the executive vice foreign minister out of Beijing. He said in the interval of 50 days, what was the U.S. government doing? He was talking about the date they shut down Wuhan to the date where the United States had a number of cases. Where have those 50 days gone? Your reaction to the comment from Beijing first.
So one of the things that we were doing immediately in Wuhan, actually, starting at the end of January, was evacuating American citizens. So while Americans were enjoying the Super Bowl and watching that game, our foreign service officers in Wuhan were working on getting planes of Americans out of China, off of cruise ships, and we've continued that effort. We now have over 70,000 Americans that we have repatriated. Secretary Pompeo said something this morning that I think is really key as it relates to a lot of the disinformation that Chinese Communist Party officials are saying lately, and that is Secretary Pompeo said that disinformation creates risk. Because while there's noise in this space, what the Chinese Communist Party is doing is diverting the world's attention from the fact that we still don't have credible scientists, credible doctors, credible investigators that can go into Wuhan, into the labs, into these wet markets, into any place where this virus may have emanated from. And so if China wants to be a partner, if they want to be transparent, they can simply start by giving us the correct data and by opening up the country, not just to the United States, but to the world, to credible doctors from around the world.
Have you made that request to Beijing?
We say it almost every day, pretty loudly. I think that they've heard it, and it's one of the reasons, quite frankly, that President Trump put the review, the 60 to 90-day review on the WHO. We're in the middle of that review process right now, and the most fundamental important thing, Bill, that we have to solve, that the world has to solve, is how do we stop a pandemic of this scale from ever happening again? And the world cannot answer that question until the Chinese Communist Party becomes transparent and gives data that scientists and doctors can verify. We're still waiting on that.
Okay, every time you said, well, you said every day you ask for that for Beijing. Is the answer no? Or is it a muted response? Do you get an answer, Morgan, I guess is the question there.
No,
directly.
we get a lot of disinformation, Bill, that you see from Chinese Communist Party officials. To the best of our knowledge, we still don't have those live, the world still does not have those live virus samples.
Right. In the meantime, you've got the foreign ministry spokeswoman who said Pompeo on Fox again, accusing China of a cover-up. Stop playing the political game, better save energy on saving lives. What is the nature of the relationship? What is the strain on the relationship between Beijing and Washington today? How would you characterize that?
Well, Secretary Pompeo and President Trump speak truth to the Chinese Communist Party, and sometimes that's uncomfortable for people to hear. Listen, we're willing to work with the Chinese government in the spirit of transparency and openness, because our countries do have to solve this pandemic together. And that's why we keep publicly pressuring and calling for openness and transparency for this data. Listen, in diplomacy, there are areas of the world in which that the United States and China, our interests converge, and then there's areas where they don't. What President Trump has called for since the beginning of his presidency is reciprocity in this relationship. He's called for fair and free trade. So he's not asking for anything of China that he's not asking for the rest of the world, and that is an equal relationship, whether it comes to trade, IP theft, or the beginning of the coronavirus. I've
got to get to another topic here, but you were saying that the Chinese government has not yet shared a sample of the live virus. Is that correct?
To the best of our knowledge.
Did I hear that? Because I thought the DNA was shared with doctors in England back in January. Is that true, or is that not true?
Well, I did not major in biology, so I'm going to let the scientists speak to that. But to the best of our knowledge at the State Department, those early live virus samples have not been shared. Okay.
World Health Organization, the leader said earlier today, from the beginning, the World Health Organization acted quickly and decisively to warn the world. We sounded the alarm early and we sounded it often. Is that true or not? Today.
Well, if that was true, then we wouldn't be going through this review process that President Trump has instituted.
Is the World Health Organization lying?
I think that's a little strong. We're conducting this review process because we want to be good stewards of the American taxpayers' money that's given to the WHO. We do know that there has been a number of missteps at the beginning of this process, and so we are on a review period to see, can the WHO reform? Can they become more transparent in a way that will help us solve this pandemic? The American taxpayer is the most generous person or entity on the planet. We have given over $140 billion in just the past 2 decades alone to global public health. The global public health infrastructure that exists now is thanks to the American people in large part. We will continue to be generous. We just want to make sure that we have real results when we use American taxpayer money.
Okay, a few seconds left. It's a big question for only a few seconds. Is the leader of North Korea alive or dead?
Well, President Trump, I think, spoke to that on Monday, and so I'll let his words stand. Secretary Pompeo has said that our mission, no matter who is in charge, remains the same in North Korea. President Trump has charged us with making sure that we have a denuclearized, fully and verified denuclearized North Korea, and that remains our mission going forward for Secretary Pompeo.
I'm out of time. Thank you for yours. More going to take us from the State Department. Thank you for being here today.